Hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode of the Lux and Leverage podcast. Your host here, Michelle Hext. Welcome to all of my new listeners. Welcome back to my regulars. Guys, change is afoot. I have always said that I would not do a video podcast because I just like the ease of just coming in on a Monday morning, grabbing my microphone, and just doing my thing without having to worry about hair and makeup. By the way, can we just talk about how long my hair is now? It's due for a cut, but it grows like a weed. Anyway, I've come over to the dark side. I'm now recording this as a video every week, and there's a reason for that. It's not because I'm dying to do a video podcast. It's really to do with the fact that I committed that in 2025 I would do a YouTube video every week, and I started in 2026. I started in 2025 and came out of the gates pretty good. I didn't miss a week for, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. Took a week off for the holidays and then missed another week because I just could not get my shit together to do another video. And I was debating, do I really want the YouTube thing? Do I really need to do the YouTube thing? It doesn't really, like, why do I need it? My business model is so different these days. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a video podcast so that way I can honor my commitment. So every single week, a video will go up on YouTube as the podcast, and you guys will get to listen to the audio version as per usual on whatever platform that you are on. So they are the changes. So if you want to come and see me in action, which is basically just me sitting in my home office, then come on over to YouTube and have a look. Otherwise, keep listening the way you normally do. One thing I've got to say though, I've got a filter on to blur the background a little bit. I just prefer that look. And I'm also seeing that my name is still there. I thought I created something, touched a setting so you couldn't see my name. I'm just recording it in Zoom. I like simplicity. But look at my earrings. It's like I come close and you can see what they look like, and then I go back and they blur into the background, which is a bit weird. But anyway, we're not worrying about little things like that. Enough. Let me talk today about the actual true cost of misalignment. And I'm going to share it with you the way that I share everything, which is based on my own experience or a story, that sort of thing. So, Monday last week was my first working day for the week. And my to do list was very small. I had my podcast to record. I had just to check in with my inner circle on the WhatsApp group and deal with anything that came up from there. Typically, my team are all overseas. So, my COO is in San Francisco. So, my Monday is her Sunday. So, there's usually not a lot going on Monday. I don't expect her to work on a Sunday. And so, Tuesday is really when the pace starts to pick up. Pardon me, the pace starts to pick up. And I was at the gym by 10 o'clock. I had been for my walk, I'd had my shower, I'd done all the things, recorded the podcast, checked in on my clients, checked my emails, did all the usual bits and pieces. And that was pretty much everything I needed to do for the day. And then I was at the gym by 10 a.m. And as I was walking along in the morning, and sorry, that was after 2 weeks off. I took a full 2 weeks off. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this last week on the podcast where I was really proud of myself because I actually took 2 weeks off. I don't think I've ever done that in any business that I've ever had. Not that I couldn't, just that my nervous system couldn't cope with taking a full 2 weeks off. Even when I travel, I take my laptop, work, all that stuff. Oh my God, I've got so much to talk about. Anyway, so Monday, as I was on my walk, 2 weeks after having a 2 weeks complete break, walk into my office Monday morning, do what I've got to do. I knew my list was small and I'm on my walk. And this thought just hit me of how different my life is now compared to what it was before. And it's not about what I'm doing differently. I mean, that's, I guess, a part of it, but it's more about it's different because of the things that I'm not doing. And I had this thought around, wow, misalignment costs you so much on so many levels. towards the end of making this pivot in my business where I focus entirely on the podcast millionaire, I was feeling so, I just didn't have the stomach for social media anymore. And that was how I was, running my business essentially and had done for, as long as the internet had been around essentially. And I just didn't have the stomach for it anymore. And every day was a fucking chore having to go and do that. And I just, even the work that I was doing and the inquiries that I was getting and the conversations that I was having, had this awareness, and I've spoken about this before, that I've outgrown this entire industry. I've been doing it for such a long time and it just doesn't hold a place for me anymore. I saw a vision of something so much bigger that required so much more of me. And I was excited by that and started to pursue it. And so there was this vast difference. And I had this moment where I was walking along and thinking, wow, imagine if I didn't make any changes. Like, what would today look like? I would have been stressed. I would have probably tried to take time off and just would have been fighting with myself all the way along, just because I would have felt like if I wasn't showing up on social media, then, sales wouldn't happen or whatever, right? And it just all became hard work. And it wasn't even that. It just felt so ick to me. It just felt ick. And so in my mind, it was like, well, imagine if you had have kept going down that path. What would today have looked like? And what would this year have looked like? And in my thinking, it was like, well, it would have just been another year of the last fucking 5 years, like a repeat of the last 5 years. And it got heavier and heavier and heavier every single year. And then I had so much gratitude for where I am right now. I took 2 weeks off, but my team was working. My ads marketing manager was in there doing everything that she needed to do. Those sales calls were coming in. My salesperson was working. My COO was working, ready to onboard any new clients that came in. We had 2 weeks off the inner circle, and any new clients would know that we start on, that first week of January, and that would be when the first call was. It was all taken care of. And to think about how I was operating before, it's so vastly different. And my health, my nervous system, the sense of peace that I have in my life right now, the sense of purpose that I have, and this ability to be private. In the past, everything that I've built has been built with a lot of noise or a lot of, this grand announcement, and then we're going to pump the wheels up and all that sort of stuff just to get some fucking traction on social media. And I, yeah, it just didn't fit me anymore. Anyway, I was watching, I'm not going to share names, and I know some of you are probably already going to know who this person is. And please know that I'm not poo-pooing this person. I actually have a lot of respect for this person. But I was watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Hey, it's okay. We're allowed to watch this stuff. It just floats my boat. I don't know why. I have no shame around it. Anyway, so I was watching, I had this little routine where it's usually on a Friday afternoon. I sit out on my front veranda with a glass of champagne and I just turn my brain off and watch it. And that's kind of my move into the weekend, and it's delightful. Anyway, so I was watching it, and there's a woman that joined the cast this year who has, I've done a few of her programs in the past, and they've been okay. But I've always been really inspired by how she's built her business. And yeah, I don't know, it's just always been interesting to me, right? I am not, anyway, not going to talk about that. So I'm watching this episode and I was talking with another friend of mine and I said, look, I've known this coach for a long time and I just hope, because I've watched this show so many times, I just hope she doesn't go down the path they go down to try and make an entrance and be an asshole and all the rest of it. I just hope she doesn't do that because I just don't think she needs to. Anyway, first couple of episodes or 3 episodes or whatever it was, she was fine. I'm like, oh, this is great. She's really staying true to who she is. Anyway, on this last episode, I just went, oh no. And, I'm aware that it's a bit performative and they've got to like dial up things to make an impact so that they get a second season and all that. I'm aware of all of that. I definitely have compassion for her there. But I was watching the way that she was behaving and the things that she was saying, and it just gave me a full body ick. And it was not her, it was, oh, that's the life I was living. And a little thing like she got on the private jet and she had a branded cup that's got her business on it. And then she was carrying her laptop. And there was a scene where she's typing away, working away where nobody else is. And I just remember thinking, I was the fucking person with the laptop. Like, I couldn't turn off. I always felt like I had to have the laptop, and my life revolved around this brand. And I remember, like, even being part of a private business club, there were some moments where she was talking, and it was just like, oh no, so cringe. And I was just thinking, fuck, I was behaving like that. I was saying shit like that. And then I was watching her try to describe to like normal humans in terms of people that don't live the entrepreneurial kind of life who are big on, building a personal brand and stuff like that. And it was really obvious to me that she couldn't read the room in a room of like she was dropping money stuff that was just really low level. She just spoke about spending $10,000 on crystals in a room with Kathy Hilton and Jennifer Tilly, and it went down like a lead balloon. But it wasn't just that. She was trying to describe her business to these people, and you could hear like she was really struggling to explain it. And they didn't get it. And all the outtakes were just like, I don't know what the fuck she does, sort of thing. And it was like, yeah, that's kind of what the industry's like, right? And it was just such a moment where I was able to just say, I'm so fucking glad I'm not living that life anymore. I'm so glad that I left all of that behind. Now, no one's saying that you have to be like that, right? Nobody's saying that you have to live the lifestyle that we all feel pressured to live when we're at that. I wouldn't say we're influencers, but when you build a personal brand that is a lifestyle brand, right? Your products are going to produce the lifestyle for the person, right? And there is pressure on you to live it a certain way. There is pressure on you to have certain things. And I've felt that pressure so much. And I'm so glad that I opted out of it all. And even on the weekend, I belong to a community. It's about style and self-development and mostly style. And I really love the community. I was in it for a lot of years. I stepped out of it because it just, I don't know, I just opted out of everything for almost a year where it's just like, I don't want anything that I used to have, anything that I used to consume, anything that I used to be a part of. It's got to go. And I'm not saying it's got to go forever, but that is all tying me into this identity that's keeping me small, and it's all got to go. So it all went. And then I've been very discerning about what I bring back in. And this community was one that I made a conscious choice. I'm ready to go back in and really do it differently this time because I have a different, I'm a completely different woman. And now I see the work that I was trying to do before didn't fit the business that I was in and the identity that I had before, and now it does. Anyway, so part of it is, it's very visual. So there's a lot of visual stuff. Like I've got a beautiful new vision board and all those things, right? And everyone always talks about how amazing Pinterest is. And I have like avoided it. I didn't understand it for the longest time, and I still am trying to get my head around it. But I do love how visual it is and how beautiful it is, and how you don't get caught down a social media rabbit hole like you do on Instagram or Facebook, right? And so I thought, I really would love to enjoy Pinterest because I know a lot of these ladies really love Pinterest, and I know a lot of them have boards, and I would really love to follow some of their boards and all the rest of it. And so I logged into my Pinterest account and I had a full body like, fuck no. And then it's like, no, it's just because it's branded for your business. What about if we just made it private? And what about if we made it a personal account? And that just made me feel so happy. So I couldn't get in there fast enough. And I deleted every business board. I deleted all the secret boards that I'd outgrown. I changed it from a business to a private account. I made it private, sorry, personal account, and then I made it private. And I unlinked my Instagram. I removed my website from the Pinterest account, and it's just hidden. Like you can't even find my profile. And it's like, oh my God, I feel so liberated. Back in the day, everything was a business building exercise. Everything was a business building opportunity. And, I look at my business and it was pretty ease filled compared to a lot of people. And I talk about social media. I did have funnels set up and ran ads and things like that, but it all just felt so performative and it felt shallow. I remember thinking one day, why when we're coaches and mentors, why is it that the last fucking thing we're talking about is like the actual work? What we're talking about is my latest trip and my this and my that and dancing for the fucking algorithm. And it's like the market coaching industry and education industry marketing is so disconnected from the actual coaching. And yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? And so I just was so glad to opt out of all of it. I use social media now for what it's meant to be for, social. Yes, my team run ads. They run ads to my business profiles. I just separated them so that no ads go to my Instagram profile, no ads go to my, you know, Facebook profile, professional profile. The ads go to the Podcast Millionaire Instagram and the Podcast Millionaire Facebook page. That's it. They don't need to go to me. Those businesses are separate to me. And they have teams, it has a team running it, and the next business will be the same. And so I'm using social media just for social, and it feels so alone, but I'm not on there. I'm just not on there because I don't really have anything to say. And it's also dawning on me how I just keep this phrase just kept going through my mind. It was along the lines of, I resent the expectation of showing up. And I also had this other moment where I was thinking, who the fuck is asking me to get on there and create free content and go live and show up on their feed? Nobody's asking me to do that. And nobody really gives a shit, do they? Like, I don't care if other people are doing it. And so, yeah, I just had this whole, yeah, anyway, it was done for me and it was done. And it was interesting. I had one of my masterminders say, or my inner circle ladies say to me last week, she said, it's been so inspiring to watch you over the last 12 months. And she said, what I love though is when you make a decision, it's so fast and you just, go about you just make change happen. And it's like, that's true. But what you don't see is that I hang on for too long. I'm loyal to things for a very long time. And I've probably wrestled with something for 2 years before I actually let it go. But when I let it go, when I'm done and I completely let it go and I move on. And so, anyway, let's just get back to the actual topic, which is the idea that misalignment costs you so, so much. And I'm not just talking about money, but let's talk about that, right? If we look at the revenue that my business would have generated, if I had have kept selling my mastermind and that sort of thing and staying in that industry, then, you know, I'm not going to give numbers. I don't like to give numbers these days, but it would have been, 2025 was not my greatest year, but it wasn't a bad year at all. But so trajectory wise, every now and then, like I have a year, most of the years, there's an increase, right? There's growth every year. Um, Sometimes there's a year where there's no growth or it goes backwards a little bit, and that's usually because I'm going through some sort of evolution, I'm making changes and things like that. So it definitely wasn't a bad year. And so, so much had been established in 2025, that early part of 2025, that had I gone into 2026 with a really good attitude and being focused and all that sort of stuff, there would have been growth this year for sure. But when I look at the revenue that the podcast millionaire generates and will generate over the next 12 months, along with the other launch that I've got coming up in March, it's a drop in the fucking ocean by comparison. So it would have cost me millions and millions of dollars financially. But the most important thing is it would have cost me growth and the identity, the woman that I am now, and the way that I think and the way that I operate is entirely different. So it would have cost me becoming this woman. And that's not something that scares me actually. It scares me that that could have happened because I feel so amazing, so clear, all the rest of it, right? So powerful. I feel very, very powerful. I've become a true CEO. I have a team now, and I'm so proud of the way that I run my team and the team that I've built. I'm now a woman who builds world-class teams and companies. That's what I do. And before that's my identity, right? Before it was coach and mentor marketing strategist, right? Like even they're worlds apart. And so misalignment would have cost me this growth, would have cost me this experience of being who I am today. And the I guess the other thing that's equal to that is my nervous system regulation. I feel so regulated. I guess that's what we say. And so grounded, so calm, so knowing, so peaceful. And I haven't felt this in a really, really long time. I've felt excitement, I've felt all of those big, good emotions, but this is completely different. It's a completely different energy. And I don't know that I could have got here, well, I couldn't have continuing to do what I had done. I'd done a lot of healing, all that stuff. So it's definitely helped and it would have contributed. But the business model kept me out of alignment because I was marketing in a way that the industry come to expect. And I didn't love it. Now, as I was starting to say earlier, nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying you must market this way. But there are things that work and things that don't work, right? And that worked. And when something works, it's really difficult to step away from it, but you must, right? Because what's that saying? Sometimes you've got to let go of good for great. And that's been my experience. And I'm sitting here telling you right now, it was like it might have looked easy for some people for me to make this transition and to build the team. But let me tell you, at the start of 2025, I was really committed to not hiring anybody, to just being solo and just doing it myself and, make simplifying everything so that it wasn't in overwhelm or anything like that. I have a team, and the thing that's driving me right now, more than anything else, when I'm doing my visualization, when I'm doing my journaling, when I'm pre-paving, all I'm thinking about is how I get to reward my team and how excited I'm going to be rewarding them in certain ways. And that's what's driving me because money's money, right? And I think it's not difficult to make money. I think we can all make money. It's so much harder when you're not aligned. But when you're aligned, it's definitely a lot easier. But, my nervous system is calm and regulated because I'm aligned. It was overworking before because I was misaligned and it was costing me so much. And I guess I have to ask you, do you feel aligned or are you in misalignment? And if you are, what is it truly costing you? And here's the thing, right? It takes courage because I didn't know what was on the other side of I can't fucking do this anymore. I had no idea what was on the other side of it. Did not know, I had committed at the start of 2024 that I was going to go all in on my podcast because I knew that social media was just a ticking time bomb for me. I knew I couldn't sustain it because I was just so over it. And I knew that getting my podcast, developing some promotion around that and making that the number one priority, that would make me feel better because that's the type of marketing that I wanted to do. And ultimately, it worked so well that I developed a product called the Podcast Millionaire. And now that's what I sell because there are a lot of people out there like me who are so over social media and they don't want to be playing that game anymore. They want to opt out of that. They want to, you know, I'm a long form content queen. I don't do grabs. I don't do short pieces of content. It's just not my jam. And so this is what I'm made for. This is what I'm here to do. And not everybody's going to love it, and that's okay. Not everybody needs to. I love it. And when we love what we do and when we're passionate and we have something to say and we show up and it's, what's truly on our hearts and it's aligned and all of those things, there's always somebody that's going to be interested. We just have to invest in the right people to promote to the right places so that it actually gets seen because it's not just going to get accidentally found and blow up overnight. I mean, that's everybody's dream, right? That's what they want. They want this viral thing to happen. And that doesn't always mean growth. It doesn't always mean sales. It doesn't always mean that that's going to stick. It doesn't always mean that it's relevant to what you actually want to sell or do, right? Anyway, enough, enough, enough. I am going to go and I'm going to see you next week. I hope you enjoy the video format. If you come on over and watch the video on YouTube, this is the way we're going to do it from now on. I'm going to have to buy some more tops. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm always dressed for the gym underneath most of the time. And, okay, one more thing. That's the other thing that I have to say. What I love is there's no pressure for me to, I love during the week, unless I'm going somewhere, I've got something on, I pretty much just, I live in my workout gear because I'm at the gym or I'm going for a walk or whatever, right? I'm always moving and it's just comfortable. And I had so much pressure on myself every day. It was like, come on, wear normal clothes and like make some effort and all the rest of it. And always it was like, but why? This is actually how I love to live my life. And so I will take the shortcut. I will just put the top on or a dress or whatever. And yeah, but right now I'm going to go take this off. I'm going to take some of this makeup off, take my jewelry off, go put my gym top on, and I'm going to go to the gym. And that's it. That's it for my Monday. Anyway, my loves, that is it. I will see you next week. Bye for now.